thank all of you online for joining us. Please have a good night.
Okay. Surprisingly short, actually.
Yeah, surprisingly
40
short.
minutes. That's
And like, it was like 5 minutes of him talking, and that's it.
yeah. All right, I'm just gonna switch over here to this. All right. So, let's debrief on that for a second. So, I think the most glaring thing about that is what we didn't see, and what we didn't see was anything about Starfield.
Which is funny because they had the Starfield up on the background during the whole thing. So
Yeah,
this is what confused me, because we saw like some snippets of that beforehand, and I was convinced that it was going to be Starfield because it's all about stars, and they had this flying spaceship, and they had all that stuff, and then they're all like, "Oh, hey, no Starfield whatsoever." Even though you're looking at a Starfield, there's no Starfield.
Yeah.
Which means that Starfield is coming out 2018, like almost 100%.
But not even a hint about what it was.
Yeah.
So, like, not even a mention, not even a teaser. So that's bizarre. So we'll have to do some digging to find out more about that.
Yeah.
But okay, so Evil,
which is pretty weird. So yeah.
So we had the Evil Within though, and that looks really intense. We had the Wolfenstein title, which looks really intense. So those are the two brand new, previously unmentioned games that we knew would be announced here at E3 2017. So what else? So then we saw.
So we saw the this, and this is going to be a hot topic, is going to be the paid mods for Skyrim and Fallout 4. So
these are going to be.
We need to clarify this like right away, and we're gonna have to work on a video on this really quickly. What these are like exceptionally well done mods that are done by basically like semi-professionals, and that are plug and play, drop and ready, no conflict with base files and systems. There's a lot of problems you can get into with modding. If you overmod, or if you do too much, or if you try and force in too much, it causes some pretty significant issues. So what I think Bethesda is trying to do here is they're trying to take the best of the best, make sure that it works with some additional support from the actual studio, to make sure that your mod is 100% clean, only working with modders who have really proven themselves to be, in the best of the best, and then taking only the best of a sampling of their mods and then throwing them in. So it'll be really interesting to see what Caliente and a few of the other major modders that we know and we've chatted with before, what their thoughts on this are. If it runs as smoothly as they showcase, where it's like literally like, go to the main screen, pick up a couple of like the premium mods, so to speak, drop them into the game, load the game, and it's just there.
Yeah.
Like, obviously that's really good. This might also explain why we've seen a bit of a delay in some of the bigger modding projects, because it might be that they had been contacted directly by Bethesda and said, look, your mods are amazing, and we want to help you get them out there. I don't think, because they're working off of this point system, I don't know if the point system is necessarily going to be 100%. I don't know if they're going to be, it's going to be 100% that it's going to be like you only have to pay for them. I think you, with the way that they have the points thing, you might be able to rack up points through play, or through challenges, or through other things you do with Bethesda products, and they might throw out free points and stuff like that, like we see in a lot of mobile games.
Yeah.
So that's probably more likely what they're going to do.
Now, do you think the quality of these mods is going to be above and beyond?
Oh, did they have to be? And from what I saw, that they are. And the primary thing with that is they have to be top end. Otherwise, you run into the exact same problem that you were running into before.
Yeah.
Which means that people who are eligible to put these mods into the paid system are not people who can basically pick up somebody's abandoned work from 4 or 5 years ago, throw in a new, quote, coat of paint, and then say, "See, this is me. This is what I did." When all they've done is stolen the product, and then they can put a ridiculous price tag on it. No, I think what we're seeing here is we're seeing a very structured interface and setup system to really make sure that we're getting the absolute best of the best. So
right.
we're really going to have to reach down and get into it, because we make mods ourselves. So there's a bit of a there's some info here that we've got to go over really carefully, and I hope people don't jump to conclusions, especially when it comes to the whole, like, oh my god, they're doing this and this and this, and
well, I'm very curious how much
mods, they're always against it.
We were talking about we were showing you spend a few hundred tokens or credits or whatever to buy these mods. I wonder how much those actually cost in real money. We have a couple of comments in the chat here. We've got Kyle, who says 10/27/17. That's probably in response to my question about when is the Wolfenstein slated to come out. So thanks for that. So we're looking at October then.
October, November, yeah.
And then Jeremy Alexander says, WTF, that is what we waited for? A sequel to an average shooter and a sequel to a horror game nobody liked to begin with? No Starfield after all the hints? I'm done with them. F Bethesda. Well, that's certainly entitled to...
Well, Jeremy, you have hit the nail on the head as far as what we were expecting and what the
lack of Starfield. That was really surprising that there was nothing about Starfield at all.
Now here's a few things. So right now it's really bad timing for both of the games that they just announced. Really bad timing. This year has seen a number of horror games already. They've seen a good selection of them. We have a bunch of other ones that are slated for this year. So you're releasing the game in an overcrowded market in a busy year. So that's slightly problematic. The thing with, Wolfenstein, there's a lot of social issues and prevailing political opinion issues, which makes releasing Wolfenstein kind of a bad choice for this year. And I think it'll do better if it's calmed the hell down a little bit. Not to say that it's directly anybody's at fault in particular. I'm just saying that we seem to have some slight issues with as far as timing goes. And this is what I mean is the timing is seems to be poor choice for both of those titles when we kind of really expected Starfield to come out and kind of take because this means that Starfield is going to have to go up against Anthem.
Mm-hmm.
It means that it's going to have to go up against Star Citizen. It means that it's going to have to go up against a lot of other space games. Why did Fallout 4 not get Game of the Year in 2015, when if it had been released the year before or the year after, it probably would have sailed through to secure that? It's kind of some timing issues here. Now, they can't always... nobody can guess.
Like we talked about... Yeah, exactly. Like we talked about on our podcast with regard to Far Cry 5.
Yeah.
The... the planning that the release timing for a game, especially with regard to a political climate, is nearly impossible, because these games are in development for years.
Yeah.
Starfield, if it's not ready, it's just not ready, whatever it is. Now, here's my question. Do we, did we as a community make something out of nothing with this whole Starfield thing? Like, were we looking
No.
for something that just wasn't
No,
there?
no, no.
Or is
It was there was a lot of hints dropping, and sometimes what developers do they're really interested in keeping their secrets is they leak a lot of like false information, and information that's meant to confuse and distract from their their actual plans and their actual goals and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'd say that I don't think it was the community's fault. I think it was like a mix of everybody, and I wouldn't necessarily say fault because nothing was ever like strategically leaked in a strategic way. It was still all, for the most part, pretty much just guesswork. So
yeah. All right. Fair enough. All that said, though, I mean, the Evil Within 2 actually looked a lot more interesting to me than I was expecting. I'm going to keep my eye on that one.
Jeremy is a little bit right. Like The Evil Within was a good game, but it was also like a long time ago.
Right.
And,
yeah.
I mean, like I'm not a fan of horror games in general. So I mean I probably won't play this one, but that's fine because I'll be busy with other stuff. But it's just the fact that I think they've missed the timing on both of these big ones, and I was expecting them to talk about, which we did get a confirmation on, the fact that they are working on a mobile game, a new one that is not been released. I mean, at least we can, for the most part, guesstimate.
Yeah, that was the other surprising omission from this, was nothing about
the new mobile
game.
games. Yeah.
So we had Legends is coming to mobile.
Yes. Now, and this is an important thing to note here, because the job and some of the leak stuff that they've had on the mobile games, especially the stuff that I've seen, it's about a title that is not it's not Legends, because Legends is being worked on by a different kind of group, and they're not the ones that are hiring for this, which means that there's another mobile game in the works, and I guess it's just not ready, and it'll be out sometime next year.
Right. Okay.
Or maybe they'll talk about it. Or maybe they'll talk about it at QuakeCon.
That's very likely. But I'm really stoked for that Dishonored 2 DLC that we saw.
And that's good news. I mean, people got to be stoked about that.
So beyond that, we saw lots of VR stuff. Lots of things coming to VR. So
again,
for
with
people
the VR,
who are interested in the VR, I guess that's
people who have a VR. I mean, I know they're really trying to push it, and multiple groups are trying to push it. I mean, you've got PlayStation is going to push the hell out of VR because they're making a big gamble with this. We didn't see HoloLens today at Microsoft, so that's really confusing, because I was honestly expecting some HoloLens action, but and we've talked about this before, it's two totally different ways of programming. Like HoloLens wouldn't be able to run, most likely, not without some pretty hefty translational work. It wouldn't necessarily maybe run any other VR titles.
Well, no, it's a completely different thing.
Yeah.
Augmented reality versus virtual reality are two completely separate.
Now you can oversync it completely and just overwrite the AR stuff with VR, and that's the nice thing that is with.
But then you basically
with
just
that. But the HoloLens is not. It's not cheap enough, and I don't think it's powerful enough to handle those types of games in those types of ways. So
yeah, but I think it makes sense that Bethesda they're porting essentially their existing titles to VR as opposed to developing a brand new VR title, because that would probably be a very risky endeavor at this point.
Yeah, that'd be pretty risky.
So,
but at any rate, all right. Well, we've got our work cut out for us.